Can't stop a wave. Born in a storm, way out to sea.
What's up, guys? Today we're talking about The Surfer, a cerebral thriller from director Lorcan Finnegan. Nicolas Cage plays the titular character, a man returning home to Australia in order to reacquire his family's beachfront property. He encounters violent localism from a gang of surf punks called the Bay Boys, led by a man named Scally, played by Julian McMahon. What ensues is a hazy, hallucinogenic fever dream of one man's descent into hopeless madness. Before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and drop a spoiler warning. So now's your time, if you haven't seen The Surfer, to pause this video, go watch it, and then come back and let me tell you how to feel about it. Now, surf's up, baby. First off, The Surfer is a delight to look at. The cinematography and scene setting are absolutely on point. For a movie that takes place basically in one location, the locale feels bold and radiant. Cinematographer Radek Ludschuk manages to imbue every scene with an infectious, anxious lighting, and the repetitive nature of each scene greatly aids the story being told. We too start to question reality along with Nick Cage's Surfer, and the hallucinatory imagery on screen greatly helps that mood. Not only that, but animals are often emphasized on screen. The kookaburra especially is evocative, seeming to laugh at the surfer at every wrong turn. The concept of the movie is definitely intriguing. The surfer brings his son, played by Finn Little and billed only as the kid, to the beach to show off his son's surf skills. The local surf punks put a stop to that, and it's immediately clear that the world of the surfer is just mean. Especially the men, they choose to frame them in such cartoonish, barbaric ways. You also start to wonder why he would want to return here in the first place based on the locals' demeanor, but it all makes sense when one is looking for inner peace within the waves. While the surfer licks his wounds, his son promptly leaves, annoyed at his dad, and then we find out that he's in the middle of a divorce while attempting to close on his childhood house before Christmas. These end up being kind of useless details in the long run, but they do add a few more ticking time bombs to amplify the tension. Nick Cage plays the dithering nincompoop a la adaptation or dream scenario very well. He's a bit more confident and assured here, definitely, but that tone is evident. He's meek and easy to turn to law enforcement as opposed to taking matters into his own hands. But when things begin to take a turn into madness, Cage pulls out all the stops with this classic brand of madcap charismatic energy. His performance certainly helps to carry the film's narrative through the script's weaker moments. The bum, played by Nicolas Cage, is quickly introduced as a foil to Cage's surfer. The film makes it all too clear with visual and editing decisions that we're supposed to believe that Cage is becoming, or has been this whole time, the bum. As we watch his visual appearance and mental demeanor change rapidly over the course of what could be just days or weeks, one begins to wonder if the device would have been more effective if they didn't do the visual cues and just let the audience piece things together on their own. In a movie that so much wants you to question reality, it offers actual reality a bit too often, which ends up lessening the impact. The movie and its world actively conspire against the surfer, which admittedly helps add even more stress and tension. As he continues to try and procure his stolen surfboard, the cops show up and make him feel like nothing was stolen at all. What the hell? Then eventually his car goes missing completely. Someone smears dog shit all over the public water fountain, so out of pride he eventually drinks the disgusting brown tap water from the bathroom faucet, and there's a sign that clearly says don't drink it. Ugh. The surfer goes to depraved levels of absurd survival just to be in proximity to the ocean and preserve his pride and assume it home. He's becoming more and more like a beach bum, begging for coffee and giving away his prized possessions just for a chance at surf and saltwater. Scally, played terrifically by Julian McMahon, who I recognize but couldn't quite put my finger on, he was Victor Von Doom in the OG Fantastic Four films, is an intoxicating and maddening villain. He is obviously framed as an Andrew Tate type of social media influencer. His mantra is that men no longer suffer, and claims that in order to actually be a man, you have to be put through the ringer. Past that, he's clearly up to no good as a wealthy local with his hand in far too many cookie jars of influence. The bum claims Scally killed his son and then his dog, which led him to pursuing a similar voyeuristic vengeance akin to the surfers. Scally appears comically influential and powerful, and the script does a good job of making him seem scary. The sum of all these parts should be more effective, and at times they are. The reveal that all the gaslighting and terrorizing was essentially a hazing ritual to see if Scally and his Bay Boys could trust the surfer enough, as this is his return to his childhood home, is fun to watch unravel. They inject him with some kind of hallucinogen, allowing him into their band of male miscreants. Their chanting of surfer, suffer is kind of hilarious and shows how easy men fall prey to this line of thinking. It wasn't lost on me that during the surfer's previous descent into madness and loss of identity, the only person who listened to him and helped him was a woman. named only the photographer and played by the wonderful Miranda Tapsell. Nick Cage comes out of the acid trip adorned in a blue poncho, similar to Scally's red. This has got to be a reference to the QAnon red-pilled concept that came up within the last 5 to 10 years, as well as the red pill, blue pill scene from The Matrix, a la how one chooses to perceive reality. The surfer is accepted into this group, but at what cost? He will only continue to perpetuate their violence and fear-mongering. The men in this movie are framed so mean and ugly that you can't not see this once you notice the movie's toxic masculinity bent. And while that topic could have been more interesting, it ends up feeling more one note. Once we get to the end, the kid arrives as the surfer is burning the bum's car in a final act of allegiance to Scally. The bum chases them all to the beach, holding them at gunpoint. The surfer, knowing the only way out is to appeal to the bum's memory of his lost son, hands over the competition prize shark tooth necklace in exchange to be able to surf out with his son. A brief moment of empathy in a movie full of acts of self-preservation and selfishness. The bum simply shoots Scally, then himself, and we get another ham-fisted flashback scene, which we've seen many times already up to this point, of what must be the surfer's father lying dead on the beach. This shapes the ending's impression in a few ways. Did the surfer's father kill himself in a similar fashion to the bum? Was it out of desperation to be accepted, but ultimately accepting that no amount of personal loss is worth losing your true self? That giving yourself up to a cultish bigot is worse than death? This is what I took away from it, but also that generational trauma stays with you, and that the surfer's perverse need to return and be accepted by his past, or even rewrite it with his son to create new positive memories, is much like the corrosive power of the ocean. It's ongoing and it's hard to stop, but it's also hypnotic and alluring to get stuck in the glowy parts of the past. These messages and takes are gratifying enough, sure, but the movie kind of just ends as the surfer and the kid catch a wave while the bad guy catches a bullet from a tortured bum. It doesn't really feel earned, and that this brand of machismo is so easily frightened by a bum with a gun seemed a bit unbelievable and rushed. Why throw us off the scent for so long, making us think the surfer would end up like the bum and then end the movie like this? It just felt sometimes like it was being purposefully confusing instead of meaningfully so. I liked it all well enough, but it felt like it lacked emotional punch, which I attribute more to how telegraphed the script and editing were. Modern movies have a really hard time trusting the audiences to make their own conclusions. Admittedly, director Lorcan Finnegan does a good job of bringing all these elements together at the ending, and it is somewhat cohesive. I just wanted a little bit more from it. Also, for a movie that's called The Surfer, there's barely any actual surfing in this thing. What the hell was that? In conclusion, The Surfer is essentially a fever dream hallucinatory version of the Shoobies episode from the cartoon Rocket Power. While the movie is not perfect, it's still a trippy, sun-drenched look into how toxic masculinity is ruining society at large. It's also got another great performance from this modern era of Nick Cage. So if anything, it's worth your time and admission for his performance alone. Definitely a movie for fans of The Substance, Beau is Afraid, and Under the Silver Lake. What did you think of The Surfer? Was it beautiful and bold, or sun-bleached and dried out? Leave all the comments below, and also let me know what movies you like that are similar to The Surfer. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like and smash that subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching this video and continuing to support the channel. Until next time, locals only, dude. Get the fuck out of here.
This is a special place for us. Magic here when I was your age.